Emmy, as she was called by her family and friends, was born on the 30th of January 1947. She was the firstborn child of her parents, Dr. Kenneth V. A. Rodgers and Anatole Rodgers. Emmy was born prematurely and spent the first 3 months of her life in an incubator. As her father would later say, she was so small that I could hold her in the palm of my hand. In those days, the survival rate of premature babies was very low, but Emmy, with the help of her father and Dr. Leonard Huggins, miraculously survived and then went on to thrive for another 75 years. Many psychologists believe that our early life experiences play a big role in our human relationships and patterns of behavior. The strong bond between Emily and her father most likely started from the moment that he held her in the palm of his hand. Indeed, it was a special bond that they maintained and cherished. Emily was fun-loving with a great sense of humor and could find something to laugh about in any situation. She was always a homebody, and perhaps this was related to her time spent in the incubator. Leaving home to go back to boarding school in Jamaica and later in England was difficult for her. It always took a lot of cajoling, especially on the part of her father, to get her on the BOAC flight. On reflection, it was at these moments that her young brother Jonathan realized how much he loved both of his sisters. When he would hear the BOAC flight departure announcement to Jamaica, he would hold on to them and would not let them go. Besides her love for her family, there were 4 main things that brought her joy: reading, music, eating, and reminiscing about old times. Every day, Emily read, and she often had several books in rotation at the same time. The sisters' house seemingly has more books in it than all Bahamian public libraries combined, and they are all categorized by author. Emily read each book at least twice. Music was Emily's second love. She was a good pianist, a talent she inherited from her mother, and frequently played on her prized baby piano. She recently downloaded all of her favorite sounds to a newly purchased iPad. When Emily was critically ill several years ago, music undoubtedly helped her recover from a diabetic coma. Every day, her sister, Tricia, would sit by her bedside and play her favorite tunes for her to listen to in her comatose state. Emily loved to reminisce about the old days, which, on reflection, were some of her happiest days. She loved talking to her close family and friends. Never having had children of her own, she adored being around her brother's wife Patty and their 3 children, Alana, Lisa, and Michael. Patty purchased many of the books that Emmy read, as well as her favorite Frey bento steak and kidney pies. Patty also accompanied Emmy on some of her medical visits to Boston. Michael affectionately called Emmy M.E.O., which was his nickname for her. Alana's was Miss M, and Lisa simply called her Aunt Emily. For the last 15 years of her life, Emily battled with severe complications associated with her diabetes. She suffered through many bouts of low and high sugar episodes and endured numerous hospital visits to the emergency room, the ICU, and the wound care departments. Throughout this period, it was her beloved sister, Tricia, who tirelessly stood by her side, playing the multiple roles of caretaker, confidant, doctor, and best friend. Tricia did so with endless love and compassion. Indeed, it was Emily's true blessing in life to have had a sister like Tricia. Although understated, Emily was the smartest of her parents' children. After completing her law degree in London and being called to the English bar, she returned home and was called to the Bahamas bar. She worked as an attorney for a short time at Depuch and Turnquest before entering the judicial service. She served as Deputy Registrar General and as Registrar General. However, most of her career as a barrister at law was spent at the Office of the Attorney General, from which she retired in 2012 as Deputy Director of Legal Affairs. She provided guidelines for the Department of Legal Affairs, which still serve as a template for young lawyers practicing in this area. Her brother would always urge her to write a book, and her response would always be, "But I don't know whether I should write it on legal size paper or regular size paper," which of course was just her way of telling him that she was done with law and just wanted to spend her time reading, listening to music, and leaving the book writing to her two siblings. Recently, she had become obsessed with learning how to play chess and had acquired numerous books on the game. Emily's love for food was legendary. She had a perennial appetite for crab and rice and stewed fish. If a day went by when she never mentioned food, you knew that she was not feeling well. In fact, her brother Jonathan would often receive bi-weekly calls when she would ask, "How is my favorite brother? Can you bring me some stewed fish from the Garden of Eden?" To which he would respond with, "I am your only brother, and of course I will bring you some fish, but not right now as I am still seeing patients." As a person, Emily was totally without guile or pretension, and what you saw was what you got. She always did what she wanted to do, and in her own way, and sometimes to her detriment. She had a mnemonic memory in that she could quickly recall the names, nicknames, and birthdays of all people she had met, including their children. Conversely, she had a remarkable capacity to blank out the painful memories associated with multiple medical maladies related to her diabetic condition, including the loss of her left leg and sight in her right eye. In spite of all these obstacles, Emily never lost her sense of humor, and she would refer to her artificial limb as Buster. She has left behind a rich storehouse of memories, and she will remain in our hearts forever.